Based upon what we've talked about so far, if you think the problem is outside of you, that thought is the problem. What does that mean? Based upon what we've talked about so far.
It's not like necessarily a stressful event, but it's how we perceive the event that can trigger the stress response.
Yeah, speaking specifically of stress. Perfect. So when somebody says to you, how are you feeling? And you say, man, these tests are just stressing me out. Is that still true?
I mean, maybe you're perceiving this test as stressful, but it's not the test is a stressful event necessarily. It's how you're perceiving it.
Nothing, remember what Covey said? Nothing can hurt you without what?
Your consent.
Your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt. Nobody can make you feel like a fool without your consent. Viktor Frankl. The last human freedom, the freedom to choose our own attitude in any given set of circumstances. If you think the problem is outside of you, that thought is the problem. So you have a choice over how you experience everything. Now, Stephen Covey, in that audio that we listened to the other day, he said that proactive people respond. Reactive people, okay, let's just quickly review this, bring our minds back to here. Reactive people respond on the basis of what 2 or 3 things? Reactive people respond on the basis of what 2 or 3 things? Their feelings, right? Emotions. The environment. Who said that? In our environment. In other words, what do you mean? Expand that a little bit. What do you mean by things? If things aren't a certain way for us, then it sets us off, correct? Or makes us happy, correct? Now, let's just play with that for just one little second. What is the immediate, if you're a smart person, what's the immediate problem with responding to the environment in order to feel good or feel react? What's the immediate problem with having to being a person who reacts to the environment? Perfect. Those are the same. I was thinking those same 2 things. Yep. You can't control maybe 1% of what's going on outside of you. And that's pushing it, I think. You don't have any ability to, okay, come on, son, let's get over with, I want it to be dark. Or, come on, Caleb, treat me nicely because you should be treating me nicely. Or, do you know what I'm saying? We cannot control other things. And then the other point that you said, which is so brilliant, how things ought to be rarely are. That's a cool statement. Never said it quite like that. How things ought to be rarely are how they ought to be. See, in my mind, everybody should be super, super nice, especially to me and my family. And they should be, people ought to, when I'm driving to work, when I'm driving to school, all the lights ought to be green. And the speed limit should be 70 along Harrison. That's how it ought to be. So I can get here in 5 minutes instead of 25 from my house. But it doesn't happen. That's not reality. And if I'm dependent upon reality to be a certain way, I'm doomed. Do you get that? And all the enlightened people who have ever lived, that's one of the things that they have said. If you need reality to be a certain way, you're doomed, because it will never be that way for you. I shouldn't say never. Sometimes it is. Sometimes the lights are green all the way through, but I still can't go 70 miles an hour.